I have been struggling to catch a signal strong enough to broadcast for this version of Faith-Filled Friday. So I'm just going to go right at it because it's at noon. And I know this is coming out to you another minute and a half late because of broadcasting. But this is Pastor Steve from Christ Presbyterian Church in Tucson, Arizona. Ready for another edition of Faith-Filled Friday. Here I am. It's really not so bad. Looking out at the beach this week. Back up at the resort. I've spent the last few days here in Puerto Penasco, Mexico, where I love to come and relax at the beach when usually hardly anybody else is around. Today is Veterans Day, so first thing I want to say is thank you to our veterans. It's kind of weird when I really think about it. There's so many people down here for Veterans Day weekend. What a way to celebrate veterans, right, and the sacrifice that they've made. But I am often and always grateful for our veterans who have offered their lives that there might be freedom, not just for the people of our country, but freedom around the world. I think of the world wars and the other conflicts and wars that we've been a part of, not just on our own land, but everywhere around the world, trying to make a way for people to have the freedoms that we have. And I am grateful this day. I'm also grateful for the last several days that I've been here doing some resting. I think often of how Jesus pulled away and spent some time on his own, and it is good for my soul to do so, especially at the beach. I have been theming out worship and planning out sermons and coming up with some other ideas of things to do and be a part of for our church. And sometimes like everybody, I get caught up in the calendar and everything that has to be done, and I forget to take a real deep breath. So today, I was hoping to be right down at the waves and give you just a moment at the waves yourself. But this will have to suffice because when I go down to the beach, I lose all my signal. But folks, take a breath sometimes. It is amazing what God has created. For me, when I'm here, I watch the waves. And I think about the waves coming in and bringing me the refreshed waters of the ocean and then taking out all of the other stuff. The ocean has an amazing ability to cleanse. Probably not as much as we wish, because my goodness, the stuff that floats up out of those waters that we leave behind is just awful. But there is a cleansing ability of water, we know that, and of the oceans. And so I just take some time in my prayer life here along the beach to allow the waves to take away what I don't need and bring to me what I do. Sounds kind of silly, but it's a way I connect to God, to myself, to my spirit. And I invite you to find whatever ways you need to do so also. You're not in it. Bless you all. Find your spots. I'm grateful for this one. Grace and peace to you this Veterans Day. Join us on Sunday, November 13th, 8:30 and 10:45 in and from our campus. This is Ask the Pastor Sunday. You to ask me any question of faith that you want to ask. Now note, that's a question of faith. It's not a personal question about how much do I weigh or which candidate do I vote for. This is a day to ask the deeper questions about God and what perspectives I might have about that. Any question of faith, I'm not going to give them to you, but I've had a couple come in already. During worship, you can text them to me. Just know that We're about a minute and a half behind you, so once worship gets started, if you wanted me to see those questions, you need to text as worship begins. You can also email ahead of time. It's harder for me to check email during worship, but I'll do my best to do so and try to respond to those of you who worship online only. For those of you who are in person, if you want to remain anonymous, you can, of course, email them ahead to me or text them to me. Or you can simply ask them in worship, and we'll have microphones ready for people to ask questions. This is just a day for us to explore our faith, for you to see what I think about some things that I may not think about talking about, and just kind of for us to spiritually work together through issues of faith. Happy Faith-Filled Friday, everybody. Find your place where you breathe and breathe God's Spirit. It's pretty amazing. Grace and peace to us all. Pastor Steve from Christ Presbyterian Church in Tucson, Arizona, temporarily in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico.